So kind of different, last week, disappointed for our guys, not get the opportunity to play game two against Florida Atlantic. But what I will say is I think the guys did a really good job of flipping the switch, resetting, and, we decided to practice on Friday. Um, Normally it's more of a run through type day before game. We decided to go ahead and practice. And I thought our guys did a really good job of flipping the switch and really moving on to Louisiana and getting Florida Atlantic off the brain. And then we let them have Saturday off. And then we came back and had a good practice last night, more of a work day practice that we would normally do on a Tuesday. We got that last night. Excited about this week, excited about the opportunity to be on ESPN2. Going to go against a very good Louisiana team that, if you ask me to describe them, I would say talented, well coached, a 60-minute football team that believes they will win. So this is a big-time challenge for us. Looking forward to seeing now. We were hoping last week would be game two, but obviously this week will be game two, and looking how we improve from game one to game two.
Do you feel like it's an advantage to get those extra couple of days to kind of look ahead at Louisiana rather than, Louisiana, played an overtime game on Saturday and then, took a couple of days to – do you feel like there's an advantage for that, for having a couple of days to look at them?
I do. I think there's an advantage just because it's like a bye week. I just wish that Florida Atlantic would have made the decision sooner, because then that would allow you a little bit more time to get prepped. But however, that's not the way it shook out. Now, if you ask me what I really would have wanted to happen, I would have rather us played. I would have rather had played Saturday and then move into our normal game week. But it did give us one extra day to start getting ready. And against a good team like Louisiana, we need all the days we can get.
How much do you feel like it hurt you to not have that Florida Atlantic game, to kind of see the things that you were trying to straighten out from that Campbell game before you started conference play?
I think that it would have helped for sure. We concentrated on trying to get better from game one to game two, and that was the big time focus for last week. And not being able to get into a game situation and actually do it to see what we've done to get better. I think that is a disadvantage to us. However, I think we made the most out of last week. I think we got some really good practices in. I don't think that there was ever a day that I felt like we wasted. The great thing about what we did last week, getting ready for Florida Atlantic, is football. We had the opportunity to work things that we needed to work on, things with ourselves, but also things that we'll see coming up, So I think last week was advantage in that. I think it is a disadvantage not to go ahead and get that game under our belt, though.
Coach, after experiencing firsthand no game is guaranteed this season, what's the message to the team this week?
As always, and we've said this from the beginning since I've had the opportunity to be the head coach, let's control what we can control. It's just different. It's just a different deal. You don't normally get games postponed or called off or anything like that. So that is different for us, but I do think our guys handled it really well. Last week was about growing, and we wanted to grow from game one to game two. I think we need to be in the mindset that we got something to prove this week and try to come out and play Georgia Southern football and play a more clean, disciplined type of football that we're used to doing.
Coach, the bad thing is a lot of times over the past few years, you guys have played down to your competition. But the good thing is a lot of times when you've played tough teams and tough environments, you guys have played well. I would say that probably bodes well for this game because you're playing against the top 20 ranked team on the road, and it's the first conference game.
I don't know how to really comment on playing down the competition. I think you got to be ready every week. I don't care who you're playing. So if we're giving off the vibe that we're playing down the competition, that's not what we need to be about. Obviously we got a really good opponent in Louisiana this week. I know our guys are very focused. and very locked in to that. And I do expect them to play a better game this week, and I expect us to be better as coaches. I expect us to be better as a program. But shoot, man, when you go play your best game, and you play clean, you play discipline, you play tough, that should give you an opportunity to win the game. But if they do the same thing, it should be an awesome 60-minute fight.
This is obviously the first time y'all have traveled this season. What's that? From Thursday to Saturday, what's that schedule like for you and the team as far as leaving Statesboro, going to Lafayette, and coming back?
The thing about us, depending on what kind of goes down as far as who the travel team is, we could have a lot of guys on our football team that's never traveled before. The great thing was in the team meeting yesterday, I asked them to raise their hand if they'd been on a travel before. We still have a lot of hands that get raised. So I think that's important, but we will have some young guys on this trip that's never traveled before. And I think it's important that we explain how travel should work, and what is the expectations. This is not a vacation. This is not something where you go to just cut up on the bus, cut up on the plane, get to the hotel, cut up. It's not that. It's a business trip, and we got to be business minded. Sometimes I think that the travel games are better for us because there's not as many distractions as there would be at home, in that, we don't go stay in a hotel on home games. And, so there's always a lot going on in Statesboro on a game day. So, again, I think we do have a lot of experience with traveling. We will go through it with a fine-tooth comb. We're going to detail everything out for our guys, what is expected. But we'll have some young guys that will need to learn.
Coach, of course, first game, the inactive list was big. Now you will be getting some of those guys back, hopefully, and the numbers won't be as large. Talk about some of the guys that should be able to contribute that didn't in game one.
Well, this past week, going into the FAU game, we kind of thought that list would at least go in half from the first game. This week, I feel like it will be even lower as long as we have good results. I feel confident that we'll get a lot of our guys back that we really count on. So again, hopefully, as far as testing goes and that type of stuff, we don't have any issues there. Excited to get Wesley Kennedy back. Excited to get CJ Wright back. Excited to get like an Emil Smith and a Bo Johnson. Those guys haven't played a whole lot for us, but have definitely shown that they should play for us. And then also being able to get a little bit more depth in the secondary, being able to get a Darryl Baker back, being able to get a Ephraim Kitchens back, guys like that. I still think we got to be pretty realistic also. You get those guys back, and now you better make sure that they're in game shape. How many snaps can they play? Can they play at a high level for a certain amount of snaps? I think that's important. And that's something that we got to gauge this week. But excited about getting guys back, but we also got to see where they're at and make sure that we're being smart with how much we play them and how we do with them.
Coach, Louisiana has a lot of weapons out there. They've scored over 30 points in their first two games. What, on a defensive side of the ball, are you guys going to have to do to try to slow them down?
Well, I think first and foremost, gosh, man, you start looking, you don't see many weaknesses on the team, but I think it all starts with their quarterback. I think Levi Lewis is a tremendous athlete. I think he can throw the ball. I definitely know he can extend plays and keep things going. And then, if you're able to contain him, I don't know if you could ever stop him, but if you're able to contain him, now you got to deal with the really good running back crew that they have. And their offensive line does a really good job of, establishing the run and stuff. But I do think that first and foremost, you got to work to contain the quarterback and try to make sure that he's not extending plays, extending drives because of what he can do. The receivers will give us a great challenge. We're obviously young in the secondary. We have got to get better from game one to game two in that area, and we got to make sure that we're ready to go up against some really good receivers. So, again, I think it's playing within ourselves, being smart that we don't overload them. One thing that can happen, when you get an extra day or two, going into a game, coaches sometimes have the problem of being, the curse of genius and trying to be too smart. And we got to be very mindful of what our guys can do, make sure we give them a great game plan, let them be confident, let them go play fast, let them go play hard, let them go play tough, and know that Louisiana's going to make plays. And when they make plays, we got to respond. But we got to make more plays than them. And I think that's got to be the mindset.
Coach, Georgia State gashed them for like 200-plus yards on the ground last week. Is that something you look at that tape and you look at that game and you think that's where y'all can have an edge on the offensive end? Is with this offense being so run-based, the fact that Louisiana got attacked last week, that has to make y'all feel pretty confident coming into Saturday.
Well, I think Louisiana has got a good run defense. I just think Georgia State is a really improved football team too. I watched the game, as far as on TV, and took time away from film study to actually watch it because I wanted to get a good feel for what Louisiana was in a game setting, but also at the same time getting a good feel for what Georgia State was. I think Georgia State's a good football team. And I think there'll be somebody that's definitely going to make noise this year. So, again, I don't want to put too much stock in, exactly what Georgia State did against Louisiana, because it could have a lot to do with maybe Georgia State's a little bit better at what they're doing. I don't know. I do know this, that we do have to establish the run game. We have to be dominant in the run game, or if we're not dominant in the run game, it's not going to be a great game for us. I think that our offensive line is up for the challenge. I think they want to go establish a line of scrimmage, and I know our running backs really, really want to have a great game. Again, we got a big time challenge, and our guys will come out and they'll try to do their best, and I know they really want it. So I feel good about our guys and their mindset right now going into this game.
Coach, you mentioned about your secondary being inexperienced and young, but up front you've got some pretty established guys and at linebacker as well. Do you feel like getting some pressure on the quarterback early? It didn't seem like you did a lot of that against Campbell, and maybe blitzing, I don't know, but to try to get some pressure on the quarterback to help those guys in the back.
Yeah, if you go back and you watch the Campbell game, we didn't do a good job of getting pressure on the quarterback in the first two drives. I think as the game went on, though, I think you saw, especially a Raymond Johnson, but you saw us make the quarterback a little bit more uncomfortable. If you don't give up those first two touchdowns early in that game, I think that game's a different game, and not fumbling on the kickoff return to open the second half. Again, that's probably being more positive than what I should be, but it definitely would have been a different game. Going into this game, there's no question, if we're not able to get pressure on number one, it could be a long day for us, because if he's able to just sit back there and, make throws down the field, but also establish the run game, it definitely could get hard on us. So we got to make it difficult on him. We got to make sure he's getting the ball out quick if he gets it out. We got to make sure that we're getting hits on him and try to get pressure on him. Again, I think it does all start with him, and I think as he goes, they go. So we definitely got to be mindful of trying to get pressure. All right. Is everybody
All right,
good?
Coach.
Everybody
Yes,
great?
sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. GATA.